Hey people, somebody put this on Facebook this morning. It's too funny.
Swampy Joe, hey, what's happening? Dick Hurts.
Good to see you.
Dick.
Heather Bouchard.
Hey, Heather, how are you? Good to see you.
Sean Smith.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Absolutely.
We're doing great.
You're not driving the truck?
Can I open the door?
No keys. There's no keys. We don't have keys.
Oh, the key.
Locked.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Don't even think about driving this truck. You have no business driving this truck or anything else. We took a vote, and we all in agreement that you can't drive anything besides the country into the ground. That's not my opinion. That's everybody else's opinion. We're all in accordance to this idea that you can't drive shit. You suck at everything that you do. You're just digging a hole for all of us. It's not fair to anybody. You're a total Nimrod, and you're not driving.
Let me share you this one that I found yesterday with the H1N1 virus.
I'm ready. Oh, me too, brother. Me too.
Get the swine flu shot. Time is running out.
Let me read to you from one of your own agency's memos planning the campaign to urge Americans to take the shot. The swine flu vaccine has been taken by many important persons, he wrote. Example, President Ford, Henry Kissinger, Elton John, Muhammad Ali, Mary Tyler Moore, Rudolph Nureyev, Walter Cronkite, Ralph Nader, Edward Kennedy, etc., etc. Did you talk to these people beforehand to find out if they planned to take the shot?
I did not know.
Did anybody?
I do not know.
Did you get permission to use their names in your campaign?
I do not know.
Mary, did you take a swine flu shot?
No, I did not.
Did you give them permission to use your name saying that you had or were going to?
Absolutely not. Never did.
Did you ask your own doctor about taking the swine flu shot?
Yes, and at the time he thought it might be a good idea. But I resisted it because I was leery of having the symptoms that sometimes go with that kind of inoculation.
I'm mad with my government because they knew the facts, but they didn't release those facts because if they had released them, the people wouldn't have taken it. And they can come out tomorrow and tell me there's going to be an epidemic and they can drop off like flies next to me. I will not take another shot that my government tells me to take.
Meantime, Judy Roberts and some 4,000 others like her are still waiting for their day in court.
So this is some of the hurricane damage here, Hurricane Zeta. Yeah, that's right, I said Zeta. This is last year's damage that they never fixed. You can see the banners of the car lot over there. They're still all together. This is Mama's orange tree. It didn't lose an orange. If you've seen the before pictures, this is what it looked like before. It's weighted down with orange. None of them fell. The banana tree, this whole tree has the texture of a banana. And it didn't hurt yet. We didn't get a storm. These old pecan limbs, usually you'll see them scattered all over. They're really brittle tree. They don't bend, they break. And nothing fell. You see a couple leaves in the yard. When I started this channel, I was investigating ancient Hebrew language. I don't know how long it took me, but I come to the conclusion that when a word ends with an M, it's an S. And I'm not the only one that believed that. You can see here in the Latin Vulgate Klebetina. This is your word for Jesus right here. Jesum. You can see it right here if you just go to English Translate. They turn that Jesum into Jesus. The final M is an S. I don't know. I don't remember what had me go look at this in Latin yesterday. I have to backtrack through it. But my mom's dad, he was in the monastery. He was going to be a priest, and he got kicked out for being a joker, wise ass. I'm sure he was the same as me. He was asking too many questions they just couldn't answer. But she tells me, that he was reading this and he couldn't figure it out. And it's because it's a really poor translation. He was from Quebec and he didn't speak English. He spoke and read French, and he was studying the Latin. And that's what you would call it, is studying, because you can't learn it because it's twisted like the rest of them. And so you see this terra, this is what they say is the earth. And when it has this M at the end, it's more like terras, the earths. And when I read the Hebrew, that's what it seems to be, is when they're talking about earths, it seems more as planets. Not necessarily this planet, but other planets. Either that or tiers of a pyramid. But this is what caught me. This is, and God said, Dixie Q Deuce, the God, Dixie Q Deuce. And then the second day, this is the first day, and the second day is the Dixit Focu Deuce, second day. And the third day is Dixit Veridus. Fourth day is Dixit Autem Deuce. Fifth day, Dixit Itime, the time Deuce. And then 6 days back to the same as the third, I believe it was. The same as it was the second. So if you hit the translator, you know, they're going to give all these just a Dixit Deuce, and God said, and God said, and God said. They didn't try to translate this. It's easy to see that they're totally trying to hide. They're all just, and God said. No, we're seeing different words spread across there. This is the only one on the fifth day, also said. But yeah, and God said. They're translating the same as the Greek and the Hebrew. You know, they just forcing a meaning over it. And that's why he had problems trying to figure it out and asked too many questions. And you see it again here in Matthew 1 at the birth of Jesus. You know, the philum is the philus, and the sum is the sus. And this primogenitum, they'll say that's the firstborn son. But primo is not the firstborn. It's not the first. It's the best of the genitus, the best of the genitus. 2, this et, I believe this is taking the place of the vav, as in the key in the Greek. You know, it's 2, and you know, vocal, vocave it to call the name, and ejus, you know, ejus is you know, aju, to come out of. And so this m, you know, they say it's plural in the Hebrew, and they're adding these vowels. I'm sure this is ism, ism. Ism is a belief. Plural, that means more than one. You see in the first writings, you know, the Jesum is all they'll give it. In the first English translations, they'll leave the M out. That's when they turned it into one. But no, it's you're selecting from the many. You're selecting one from the many. And this word SC Virgo here, you don't want to Google that word. If you Google that word, you're going to be on the FBI watch list. That's a well-known word in sex industry, you know. It means to connect with. And Virgo does not mean virgin. It means women, to connect with women. And you really don't want to Google that word. And then you can see the in the utero, as in uterus, or the water. And that's the word they'll use in the Hebrew. And the water waddled. You know, when she gave birth, the water waddled the uterus. So to connect with Virgo in the utero, having it, you know, the B is a V, H-A-V-E, and then B is in it. Having it, aperia, aphilium. And so, you know, peri is over, as in a parent, you know, over. Aperi, over it. And the philium, you know, the I-U-M is what they call day in Hebrew, I-U-S. And the feel is short for, you know, the denoting a liking for a specific thing. You know, having a chemical affinity for a substance. And so I believe this ET, just like in the Greek, you know, the key is a vav, and it would be pronounced a U here. You wouldn't pronounce that ET, but you would pronounce this a periaphilium. A periaphilium. To vocabont, you know, to vocave, vocal, to make a spoken word out of it. The nomen, the name is used to come out of them manual. The manual of Fordest. You know, a quad racer is a 4, you know, and this is more like 4, as in for its interpretation. Forest, interpret, use, interpretate, use of noviscum deuce. And so this B is a V here, and this is when they're trying to say Virgo here is the first time virgin. No, this is the novice. This is the first time. The first time come. The first time give use. Novice, First time God to give US, to give use the through use, the one chosen to use. And so you can see it here in the Hebrew, in receipt, in Ramiel, to the same is what? W-A-T-E-A-R-S, hears, ears. What? T-E-A-R-S, tears. What hears, what tears. And that's the planets, the tones and the semitones is your planets. What hears, what you're hearing. The tone comes off of the planet. You have a tone for water and air and fire, and you have a tone for the moon and Mercury and Virgo and the sun, depending on their distance. Wherever you finger that fret is the sound that you're going to get out of stroking that string. And so it's not the earth, but it's the planets, what hears. And so, in the receipt, in the writings, in the receipt, in Ramiel, in the beginning, in the first BRA, in first knowledge, the remedia, the first things to learn, from Yel to the same is, S-M-I-S. They say it's plural, heavens. The M is plural. The final M is a S. The same is what hears. What you're seeing in the alphabet is the same as what hears. That means this is the Teutonic language is what it's trying to say. Whereas height, the distance of the string, the height shapes of who, which shack, of which house it's in. All in ping, all in place twos. Where which from Yel, from repetal in place them is. EM is them. T-H-E-E is T-H-E-M. Them, I-S, them is. From repetal in place them is. They're repelling, repetal, hovering, all in the place them is. In principo, the pio is the mouth, and the prince is not the beginning, it's the principle, the top mouth, the one in charge, to crave it, the top mouth to crave it through use. And the calum, this is what they say is the heavens. And so this is Ea, the ash. And it's ancient for the god of Odin, to give the gods of UM, of US, of use. The gods of use to the terras, to the planets, to the tiers of the sounds. So I don't know how long he lasted before he got kicked out, and he didn't have access, to the computers 100 years ago. He had a paper copy of a French Bible, and he had a paper copy of the Latin, and he probably should have been trying to read the Greek. It's more French. But I read through some of this last night, and it's apparent that he has read the Hebrew and the Greek, but he's trying to twist the story a little bit more to fit it, his theory here, his ism, his belief. But it's like, he doesn't quite understand the Hebrew or the Greek, and so he's trying to write, he's trying to figure it out at the same time he's writing this. But you can see it's the dyers, the fiat, the currency of lux, the brightness. And to factor ist lux. To factor a number, you break it down and see what it's made of. 15 is a 3 and 5, and a 16 is 4 deuces, to factor it. To break it down and see what it's made of. To factor it, to see what's actually inside that light. To separate it all to its base colors. They try to tell us this is new technology, but it's ancient, the spectrometer, to break something down and shine a light through it and see exactly what it's made of, and to factor its light to see exactly what it's made of. And you know, this Dixit, I believe this is that word for the first day in Genesis in Hebrew, the dika, ditch, D-I-C-H, as in divide the time through use, the producant, the product, the a predicate is of the action of the verb, the action of the aqueous, the AE is ES, ash, the aqueous, the water reptile, animes, viventus, the animation viventus, to bring it to life. The aqueous reptile, is Hydra, to animate him and bring him to life. And so this crossing at Easter back in the day of Genesis was here. It was here. And so, when the sun got over here in Hydrus, it was to animate, to bring everything to life. It was the summer coming. Everything was turning green. It was spring. Time to go out in the forest. Go collect your materials for making dyes. All right, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.